Bam! Jayson Waller here with the BAM Podcast. That's right, Business and Money Podcast. You want to make money? You want to conquer business? You want to go ahead and get that mindset right to take you to the next level and level up? You got to listen to the show. We're going to have all kinds of guests on there, billionaires, millionaires, athletes, actors, you name it. We're going to have them on here. They're going to be talking about their success, their struggles, their life, their hardship. I'm going to talk about my success, my struggle, my life, my hardship. So tune in. Bam! Jayson Waller here with the Business Attitude Money Podcast. That's the BAM Podcast. Super excited. It's top 5 show. Appreciate all the love out there. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the TikTok, the Instagram, everything. We're on everywhere a podcast can be. And I am actually here in Tampa at another studio from the Vick TIpnes show here in Tampa. And this guy's got a great business. I was just on his show. It was fantastic. He's bringing the energy. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great.
Are you? Dude, I love that you're just like, you got the great hair. I tried to do my hair today, and I forgot my fucking
Bro, my hair
brush.
doesn't move.
Your
know I don't have
fantastic.
a brush. I don't
my
have a
hair
brush.
looks rough right now. I got the little mohawk
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
And then in the pictures, I had the blonde hair, but I have this brush to make the mohawk look sick.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it. So when I landed and I took a shower.
That would have been cool.
Dude, I wanted it on, and I was like, fuck, I'm
that would have been
to
cool.
throw the hat on because I didn't have a brush and I was running out of time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe we could have had the same vibe with the hair, a little different.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man.
Yeah, very
Inquisitive
good.
minds want to know if I can move my hair.
It doesn't move.
It doesn't
What
move,
do you use?
bro. I don't really use anything. I use like a little paste.
Yeah.
You know, but that's it. I don't have a brush.
Well, you've got a good vibe.
I've never used a comb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do use a brush. I got this little thing.
I have a brush. So, somebody came to my house one time like, hey, you got a brush? Nope.
No brush.
My wife's got a brush.
Well, I got a little comb brush. It's like a little handheld.
Yeah.
So I can just make my hair just like stick up.
Yeah.
It's like this cool looking mohawk thing.
I got a cool Dyson hairdryer though.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Those
I
are
love
sick.
it. Yeah.
So you just blow dry it.
They're like $9,000, bro.
They're super expensive.
as shit.
They are. They're like $1,000.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
pricey.
yeah.
For a fucking blow dryer.
Yeah.
For sure, it's not worth it, but whatever.
Gold comes out. No,
It puffs your pillows around, leaves mints on the table, everything for you.
Yeah, I love it.
So listen, Vic, I got to do a tour of your business. You've got a fantastic business. For the listeners out there who don't know, I do have sleep apnea, so I take this serious. I don't ever tell people that, but yeah, I'm the asshole with the machine that the wife's like, yeah, have fun leaving me. You got a machine.
Yeah.
That's always the joke at home, right?
Yeah.
But I remember taking the tests, and I remember going through that.
You went to a hospital?
I did.
Yeah.
I went through the whole fucking charades.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people that have sleep apnea, they just don't want to do the test to find out. You know, because the doctors that I talk to, they're like, look, if you snore, you probably fucking got sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're big, fat, muscular, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everybody can have sleep apnea.
Yeah, sure.
And when he drew on paper how important it was to do something about it, I kind of freaked out. And getting the machine after I did the horrible test was the best thing I ever did. I can't sleep without the fucking thing.
No, it's amazing.
If I don't have a machine, my ass cannot fucking sleep. So
Yeah.
if anybody's like, hey, Jayson, stay up all night, take my machine away,
Yeah.
I'm up all night, right? But you have a device, you have a business that I want you to talk about where they don't have to go to the fucking hospital.
No.
Explain that.
So we have a device that's the size of a ring. It's basically a ring, and we send it to your house, and you do the test in the comfort of your own home.
So good.
Right? Like whatever your routine is at night, you have dinner, you watch a show.
I can be eating chips and salsa, watching football.
Have a fight with your spouse, whatever's that routine,
Yeah.
you know, have a glass of
Kick the
wine.
fish, punch the
yeah,
dog,
whatever,
I got it,
exactly. Whatever that is for you, you can do. And then you just simply put on the ring, and we have an app on your phone, and you hit start, you go to bed.
How does it track? Like, what's it doing?
It's measuring your respiratory effort, your nasal flow, your oximetry, and your pulse.
All from your finger.
Yeah, and body position and stuff like that. So we're measuring all of those things, and then we take all of that data, and then we have physicians on staff that interpret the data and give you a diagnosis, right? Either you're mild, moderate, or severe sleep apnea, and then you take that report, and that's how you get on therapy.
I was severe, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So what was your HI, you remember?
100 and something.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was up there. So
Was up
that's
there.
the
Waking
severe,
up
yeah.
100 and something per minute or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. Well, it's good that you got tested. So look, getting tested is the first step because now you look at your quality of life. Now that you got on CPAP therapy, your quality of life is so much better. So we diagnose you. We're the largest provider, and we're the largest testing provider in the country.
What made you get into this?
I got an email from a friend of mine in 2011 about a home sleep testing device. At that point, like my career kind of goes back at 23, 24. I started a medical practice, built it up, sold it for $9 million when I was 29 years old. Didn't make any money. That's a whole nother story. I wrote about it in my book.
Which you got a good book, by the way.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I think I made $250,000 total. I was 29 years old. Wasn't financially independent at all. And then I was working for the private equity group that bought me out. So at that point, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do next? Right? What's my next thing? And when I got this email, I was like, okay, I can build something around this. Literally, that's what I was thinking. So I went out and I started, I called the manufacturer of the device. I got one. I went and started calling on physicians. And I was just like, hey, I want to provide this service. Do you have patients that need this test? And they were like, yeah, I do. I was like, okay, great. So I went out basically and I surveyed all these doctors, like 100 doctors.
To see if they would say yes before you even sold them anything.
Yeah, just to say, hey, was there a need?
Yeah.
Right? Because I had the idea in my head, but I think what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes will reluctantly go out and get public opinion about a product or service, which I think is a bad decision.
I agree.
Because you and your family and friends are not going to be the ones that support your business. The public is. So I went out and got public opinion, and they were just like, yeah, we're going to use it. We'd like to use this service. And now I knew that there was a need. I had to fulfill it. So in the healthcare space, you have to deal with insurances because 97% of the population, the 330 million Americans we have in this country, are insured. So I went to an insurance company, a large national one, and I said, hey, look, I want to get a contract with you. And they had known me because I did business with them before. So they said, okay, Vic, great, but we'll give you 3 counties. So I had Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, like Tampa, St. Pete area, Tampa Bay. I was like, okay. I had 1 contract. And I started going out and peddling. And getting insurance contracts is very difficult.
And you were doing this yourself? You're going out and you're talking and signing people up yourself?
At the same time, I got divorced. So I was divorced, had no money. I was actually renting a room from a friend of mine for $250 a month. And everything I owned was in that room. And I had an office that was 500 square feet.
And you're 29 years old.
And this time now I was 36.
36. It's like a
35.
start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Literally start over. So everything that I owned was in this room. And it was funny because I came home the other day, my wife said, oh, so-and-so bought a ticket for the event. And I was like, who? And she told me, I was like, oh. And I said, oh, I remember her. Like, I was renting a room in her house for $250 a month. Right? That was 13 years ago, 12 years ago. So at that point, I was like, okay, what do I do? And so I was just every day was putting one foot in front of the other. I had no money, had no resources. My parents died in my early 20s. So I was literally just,
figuring it out.
I was on my own, right? There was no cavalry.
Right. No team.
There was no team. There was no team.
Right.
There was no team. And, today I always tell people that if you have family and you have a mom and a dad, no matter how strange that relationship may be or could be at times, you always got to figure out a way to make it right, because that's the beauty of having parents is no matter what happens, you feel like you can go home.
Right.
Right?
It's true.
No matter what happens, you're like, I can go home.
Lose everything, my parents will definitely let me stay on the couch.
They got a room for me to sleep in. So when you don't have that, you're just kind of like, okay, you gotta grow up a little bit faster than you'd like. So for me, it was like, okay, what do I do? And it was really just I had to make something out of my life, man. I was a nobody. I was a has-been, right? I had some success in my early 20s, and then I just lost it all. And so people were like, this guy's is a has-been. I had no resources, I had no college education, I had no trade. All I had was my brain and my balls.
And your vision.
And my vision.
And your vision.
So,
which is key for an entrepreneur.
Which is key.
Because if you don't have a vision, you don't know where the fuck you're going. You have this vision, you just got to put the blocks there to build it.
So, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make something out of my life. That was really the decision. I want to be somebody. So I essentially just was every single day, it was just fighting for survival. And that was 2013, 14, 15, and then part of 16. It didn't turn for me really until end of 16. So imagine every single day was just a fight to survive. There was never any money. It was always day to day. Who can we pay? Who can we not pay? How to pay bills. I think in 2015, I was making $800 a week in 2015. So, it was rough. It was rough.
And pause for a second. And listeners need to understand this, because I talk about it all the time. The dollars you're making in the business, you're paying yourself last because you're reinvesting it in your business. So eventually you have a pathway. A lot of people don't understand that. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people just want to pay themselves. I'm going to open a business so I can drive a Ferrari or a Porsche or whatever.
Yeah.
You're literally, for a handful of years here, living hand to mouth, right? I did say that right, hand to mouth, just make it sure, because there's other things to mouth that you don't want to say. I've said on air before.
Yeah.
So you're living hand to mouth, and you're literally, you're going through, and every dollar's going back in, you're just getting enough to survive. Mm-hmm. That is true entrepreneurship that people miss out on. So, because that's what builds was what you need. And I know you're getting ready to tell the great part of the story, but that's the shit that builds it. Yeah. People don't realize it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, basically it was day to day, man. It was, who can I pay? How can I survive?
Been there, I know that.
There was never any money. So, but I believe that eventually I would get there. Like, at the end of the day, I'm one of those, I'm a horse you can't kill, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay, chop me up, I'll come back, right, eventually. So basically life was day to day, and eventually, I continued to work hard and be persistent. And then after 2015, 2016, finally 2017, things started to really kind of turn. And we were growing as a business, but there was just never any money. We were just always losing money. And I was trying to figure out how do we make it profitable? How do we spend? And there was no line of credit. There was no nothing, right? It was just credit cards and whatever money came in that day.
Pay Paul. We'll pay this on the Amex. We get enough money
exactly.
to pay down the Amex. I've been there.
Exactly.
I've been there.
Exactly. So basically, I did that for many, many, many years, and then things started to really pop. And my contract with, I had one insurance company. I went from one insurance company to 36 contracts. All the major carriers in the country. And then the one contract that I had with one of the biggest insurers in the country went from a 3-county deal to a national deal. And so we went essentially, I can go back just, 2015, 2016, actually 2018, we had about 42 employees. And now we have close to almost 500 employees, and we went from 500 square feet to 60,000 square feet, and we have offices here in Tampa, we have offices in Medellin, Colombia, we have about 240 employees there. We have offices in Maryland, and then we're opening up in Mexico City. That's for Blackstone, and then we've branched out and created TIpnes Health, which is primary care offices, and we're going to be opening 100 of those throughout the Southeast U.S. and Puerto Rico.
That's awesome.
And then obviously the Rise Conference.
Which I want to get into that, because that's very appealing. So it finally broke the mold because of the persistence, because of the hard work, because of the dedication, because you had 42 employees that believed in your dream. Eventually, I remember what that's like. I remember building multiple companies, but the long one was the solar one. I remember multiple times bringing people in, and you got them to drink the Kool-Aid with you, right? You need them to believe in you, and they need to be a part of that, and you got to find the right people. And then finally you're getting to the point where things break, right? That vision is like, oh my gosh, this is what I've always envisioned. I'm finally starting to be here. Let's add the pieces. Now let's start to scale. It goes like that, like a hockey stick.
Like,
right? Yeah, like overnight.
Overnight.
And so congratulations on that. And it's a great product, and it's a great story. And have you sold part of the business?
I haven't sold any of it.
Okay, you ever looking to do that, or you're looking?
At one point I thought I was going to sell.
Because that's the type of company that somebody come in off you big bucks for, or try to take public or do something. Whenever you're ready.
No, I had a big check put in front of me, but I said no. And
it's hard when you built the thing from the ground up.
It's not just it is that, but it's also the fact that I'm trying to build a dynasty. And I'm trying to build companies that are going to live way past this physical body. So, and I want my kids and my cousins and my nieces and my nephews and everybody to work within the organization and have 40 or 50 Blackstone type companies.
That's great.
So that's really the vision and what I'm working towards, to reach at least $1.5 billion in net worth in the next 8 years. So that's what I'm passionate about. It's not really about chasing the money. It's about being able to give back and do things. And I love building companies. That's what I do. I know how to do that really well. And I know how to scale and I know how to brand something. So, selling would have just put me back. Right? I would have started back from zero again.
Because you'd had that itch.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I wasn't. That
was always my fear.
Yeah, I was in a fortunate position. It wasn't like I needed to sell to be a millionaire. I'm already a multimillionaire. So it wasn't like I needed to sell because I needed to become a millionaire. I was already a millionaire. So it wasn't something new. Like, ooh, okay, it was just an extra zero.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really going to make me happy.
So my vision was to go public and to be worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
And the business be worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
And we were right on that map until it was. But I had offers 500, 600, 700 million just to sell the company.
Yeah.
From private. And I said no.
Yeah.
For the same reason. But going public, I could still run things. I would have so much stock into it. It could go to my family. I put it so I understand exactly what you're saying. And you're wanting to have this legacy that your whole family and the close
dynasty.
I'm sorry,
Do you know the
dynasty.
difference?
No, tell me.
Legacy by definition ends. Legacy by definition ends. It's what you did.
I love that. That's good.
By definition.
So dynasty.
Dynasty carries
I'm
on.
going to steal that. Dynasty. I'm going to be sharing that information.
Dynasty is the only thing that carries on. Legacy is what you did.
You're right. It's like
he did that.
He's a legend. It's a legacy. I get it.
He's got a legacy. Dynasty is something that
just keeps going.
It just keeps going, dude.
I love that. So talk about your RiseCon. What is that about? What inspired you to do that? What happened with you? Because you got a great show, and then you're helping entrepreneurs out there speaking. A lot of the cool ass speakers on there. I was like, damn, I was just telling you folks when I came in, I was like, shit, I'm trying to get on stage. If somebody cancels, you call me. I'm here. I don't give a shit. I'm not them, but I'm going to blow the socks off. Let me know. Tell me what made you want to do that.
Well, I think that, when I was so broke, I realized that there just really wasn't content out there for people to get, like real stuff, real meaningful content. So that's when I said, you know what, at some point when I make it, I'm going to give back. And at that point, I didn't know what that was. And then within the last 2 or 3 years, I was like, okay, this is what I see. I envision putting a conference that was going to be an annual conference, going to do it every single year. And I want to bring the best of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And I got David Goggins, and I got Magic Johnson, and I got these guys. And they all have a very unique skill set. And so the objective was I want to put them on stage. I want to extract from them, because I'm going to be interviewing them. I want to extract from them what were those things that they were doing. Because what happens, you go to conferences, big rah stuff, right?
Yeah.
What I'm interested is, hey, what were you doing at the time when no one knew who you were?
Right.
And there were no lights, and there were no 5 million followers on Instagram. Those are the moments that I care about. Right, because
that's what these people could use.
That's what those people can use, and that's what really shapes your character. It's easy to ride in the limo and go to the parties and be. That's easy.
Yeah. It's how to get there. It's that story of not making money and trying to survive all those years.
Exactly.
That's the stuff that people need to hear.
Exactly.
Because what happens is they quit early.
Yeah.
Right. I have a motto I always talk about. There's really no elevator in life. You have to take the stairs, and in your journey, you literally took the stairs. You didn't go up and go, holy shit.
I walked backwards up.
Right. You crawled, you rolled, you fell down, went back up. But you looked up 100 stories, you didn't go, shit, I'll never get there. You were focused on just the next step because you're in that light, right? So Barry Sanders is a good friend of mine. I've interviewed him multiple times. We did TV commercials together for my old company. And he's a quiet dude, but one of the things he said I still live by today is he said because I asked him, I was like, what was it like being Barry Sanders? And you're always handing the ball over and you're doing this, and what was it like in high school to go to college? And he said, Jayson, I always tried to stay relevant in the moment, meaning the moment was never too big and it was never too small. I didn't get giddy and let it take advantage of me to where I got too arrogant about it, but I was humble enough to not not think that I'm better, and I was never intimidated when the moments came. And so I think of that in business, when you're struggling every single day and you're just trying to survive, and then it starts to hockey stick. You've had all of those struggles. You're able to navigate that pretty quick because you're disciplined.
Yeah.
It just wasn't given to you. You actually put in all that work preparing yourself for that, and that's what I think that sticks with me all the time in your situation to help build a dynasty. Is really like, hey, you've got to put in the work, and then you've got to be strong those days that you're missing payroll, the days that you're having to lay people off, the days that you're having to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. All of a sudden things take off with your vision. It feels good, and you're right, it is easy to do all the other stuff. But these other things is where people get down that path and they quit early. They quit 2 years in, 3 years in, 2 weeks in, 2 months in. Heck, some of them don't even want to take a chance because they're scared. And so it's really good to hear your story to where they could take that and go, you know what, that could be me. Like this guy was 36 and 4 or 5 years into his business, he's making $800 a week. And he still didn't quit on his dreams.
I was a 40-year-old person making $800 a week. That's rough.
Great story though, dude. Like that's people, that's relative to people, and that's important because some people, like, I know when I lost my $1 billion business, it was an identity check for me. For 8 years, I'm the face of solar. I'm on all these TV commercials. I'm on these TV shows. 2 Minute Drill, all this stuff, and we're getting ready to go public. I'm taking all this training, and boom, it's gone. It's like, holy shit, what do you do? And I didn't grieve. I probably should have. I just 2 days later, I'm on a whiteboard. What am I doing next? Right? And you have to have that kind of mentality to rebuild and do things.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. That's a great story, dude.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for sharing that with our folks.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thanks for coming on the show, Vic. Bam! That's a wrap here at the BAM Podcast, Business, Attitude, and Money. Make sure you subscribe to all the channels, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and make sure you follow us at all of the podcast stations of your choice. Bam!